But I do think that it is important that we also talk about the real threats to our democracy and those cracks that we see in our foundation, those cracks that are leading to the indictment of Tish James out of New York, those cracks that are leading to the indictment of James Comey, those.
When Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett slowly slid a manila folder across the table toward Ivanka Trump during a live television broadcast, few viewers expected the moment to become one of the year's most widely discussed political exchanges. The scene unfolded on a Tuesday evening inside Studio 4 at WCN headquarters in Dallas. Cameras were tightly focused on Crockett at one end of the table, Ivanka Trump at the other, with veteran host Colin Brandt seated between them. The conversation began in a measured and professional tone, centered on political families, ethics, and leadership. Brandt opened by asking whether family connections strengthen government by bringing valuable experience or whether they risk undermining public confidence through favoritism. Crockett answered thoughtfully, arguing that when public office begins to resemble a family enterprise, citizens may stop evaluating performance on merit and instead assume positions are earned through family ties. Ivanka responded with equal confidence, maintaining that experience, institutional knowledge, and long-standing relationships can be meaningful assets in both business and public service. At first, the discussion resembled a conventional policy debate, respectful, focused, and occasionally tense, as the participants exchanged views on transparency, influence, and public responsibility.
Remembering that even the author of this bill has a story too before he tries to lecture DC on safety. And it would be complete hypocrisy to have, hypothetically, someone convicted of 34 felonies to lecture DC on what to do with youthful offenders who have been.
Crockett continued presenting structured, carefully reasoned arguments, while Ivanka answered with composure and self-assurance. Audience reactions remained relatively balanced until Brandt introduced a new question. He asked whether Americans could trust that all public officials are consistently honest with the public. Crockett paused. Instead of looking toward the moderator, she turned directly to Ivanka. "Not all of them," she replied, adding that some public figures had more to conceal than they were willing to acknowledge. The atmosphere changed immediately. Ivanka asked whether the comment was directed at her. Crockett answered that her family's public record had already generated significant questions, but she believed important details had yet to be fully examined. Quiet murmurs spread through the audience as Brandt requested clarification. Crockett responded by saying she possessed material she intended to discuss during the broadcast. Ivanka dismissed the suggestion as political theater. Without raising her voice, Crockett gently pushed the manila folder across the table. She explained that it reportedly contained communications and statements from individuals who had previously worked within the Trump organization.
About people whom he had never met who were facing some injustice or hardship. He'd write a note to his assistant in a signature black felt-tip pen and request that the person be found and invited to Trump Tower to meet with him.
According to Crockett, the material painted a picture that differed from the public image presented over the years. Ivanka challenged the claim, accusing Crockett of promoting unfounded allegations for political attention. Crockett remained composed, insisting that the public had a legitimate interest in understanding whether personal relationships had influenced decisions made at the highest levels. Recognizing the seriousness of the discussion, Brandt reminded viewers that the claims being referenced had not been established as fact. Crockett acknowledged that point and said she intended to review the material methodically rather than make sweeping conclusions. Ivanka firmly rejected the allegations, although observers could detect growing tension in her voice. Attempting to ease the discussion back toward broader policy topics, Brandt briefly redirected the conversation. Even so, the unopened folder remained the unmistakable focal point of the broadcast. Leaning forward, Ivanka cautioned Crockett that she was entering dangerous territory. Crockett answered without hesitation, "Truth isn't a game." The audience leaned forward as the exchange shifted from policy debate to direct confrontation. Asked once again to explain her position, Crockett outlined what she described as recurring patterns in which loyalty to family appeared, in her view, to take precedence over broader public responsibilities. Ivanka dismissed those characterizations as exaggerated and misleading. Crockett then introduced what she described as her first supporting point, referring to a statement from a former aide who allegedly claimed that private family discussions had included conversations related to foreign business interests. Ivanka rejected the allegation outright. Crockett clarified that she was raising questions about ethics and public accountability rather than alleging criminal conduct. As the conversation continued, Crockett referred to additional statements that she said described informal meetings and decision-making influenced by close personal relationships. Audience reactions reflected both curiosity and visible unease. Brandt again reminded viewers that none of the referenced claims had been independently verified. Crockett agreed with that qualification but stated that, according to her, the material had undergone legal review before being discussed publicly. The tension increased further when Crockett mentioned messages she said came from a former assistant, referring to travel arrangements involving Ivanka Trump and her father that were allegedly not reflected in official records. The studio responded with audible murmurs. Ivanka called the accusations baseless and argued that Crockett was relying on unreliable sources. Crockett responded that multiple individuals providing similar accounts warranted careful consideration rather than immediate dismissal. Turning toward both the audience and the cameras, Ivanka characterized the entire exchange as a politically motivated attack. Crockett replied that avoiding public scrutiny posed a greater risk to public trust than confronting uncomfortable questions. The discussion ended with neither side yielding its position, but the exchange left a lasting impression on viewers. Whether they agreed with either participant or not, the broadcast shifted attention toward questions of transparency, accountability, and the challenges of confronting powerful public figures in real time.